You throw another moon at me.
Have you ever wondered how Hollywood's brightest stars can burn out so fast? Behind the glamour and flashing lights lies a darker truth. Fame often comes with a price. In a world full of temptation, drugs have silently destroyed some of the biggest names in the industry. How do icons go from red carpets to rock bottom? Today, we're uncovering the most shocking stories of actors who fell into the abyss of addiction. From legends who lost it all to rising stars gone too soon, these tales are raw, real, and unforgettable. Will your favorite star be among them? Lindsay Lohan had all the makings of a Hollywood legend. From a young age, she lit up the screen in The Parent Trap, charming audiences with her talent and charisma. Her rise continued with teen hits like Mean Girls, solidifying her place among Hollywood's brightest stars. But as her fame grew, her world behind the scenes began to fall apart. Raised in a chaotic household with feuding parents, Lindsay was thrust into the spotlight without a stable foundation. The pressure and temptations of Hollywood hit hard. She quickly became known more for her wild nightlife than her acting, with a string of arrests for DUIs and drug possession. The tabloids feasted on her struggles. Photos of her stumbling out of clubs or checking into rehab dominated headlines. In a later interview, Lindsay revealed that drugs were her escape, a way to fill an emotional void fame couldn't fix. Despite several attempts at a comeback, the industry never fully welcomed her back. Her story remains a powerful reminder of the dangers of child stardom and how fame without support can lead even the brightest talents off course. Macaulay Culkin was the golden boy of Hollywood in the 90s. With his unforgettable charm in Home Alone, he became an international sensation almost overnight. But behind the image of the perfect child star was a darker story, one marked by emotional abuse and exploitation. His father, who acted as his manager, maintained an iron grip on every part of his life and career. The pressure was relentless. At just 14, Macaulay walked away from acting, hoping for a sense of normalcy. But stepping out of the spotlight didn't bring peace. It brought confusion. Without a stable family structure or the rhythm of work, he drifted. In the years that followed, his once bright public image took a hit. Photos of him looking frail and withdrawn sparked rumors of drug use. Though he denied many of the claims, he admitted to experimenting with substances during his lowest points. Today, Macaulay has found a sense of stability and peace in his personal life. But his story stands as a stark reminder of how the entertainment industry can chew up and spit out even its most beloved young stars. Heath Ledger wasn't just an actor, he was a creative force, a true genius who poured his soul into every role he played. When he stepped into the shoes of the Joker in The Dark Knight, his transformation was so haunting, so electrifying, that critics hailed it as one of the greatest performances in cinematic history. But that level of dedication came at a steep cost. Ledger dove so deeply into the mind of the Joker that it began to take a toll on his own. He struggled with severe insomnia and anxiety, often relying on a dangerous mix of prescription medications just to get some rest. On January 22, 2008, the world was shaken by the news of his sudden passing. Heath was found in his New York City apartment. He was only 28 years old. The autopsy revealed it was an accidental overdose involving painkillers, sleeping pills, and anti-anxiety medication. To many, he was a rising star destined for greatness. His death was not just a heartbreaking loss of talent, it was a wake-up call. It sparked an urgent conversation about the immense pressure in Hollywood and the critical need to prioritize mental health in the entertainment industry. River Phoenix was often called the James Dean of his generation. Young, charismatic, and immensely talented. His breakout role in Stand By Me made him a teen icon, and with My Own Private Idaho, he proved he was more than just a pretty face. He was a serious, soulful actor with depth beyond his years. But behind the camera, River lived a very different reality. Raised in a bohemian family with a murky relationship to drugs, he grew up in an environment where dangerous behaviors were often seen as normal. That upbringing would cast a long shadow over his life. On the night of October 31st, 1993, River went out with his brother Joaquin Phoenix and some friends to the Viper Room, a trendy club in Los Angeles. According to witnesses, he took a lethal combination of heroin and cocaine, known as a speedball. Within minutes, he began convulsing and collapsed on the sidewalk outside the club. Joaquin made a frantic 911 call, but it was too late. River was gone. He was only 23. His death stunned a generation and left a haunting void in Hollywood, one that can still be felt today. Judy Garland's story is one of Hollywood's most heartbreaking tragedies. Thrust into stardom as a teenager with her unforgettable role as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, she became a cultural icon. But behind the curtain, Judy was a prisoner of the studio system. Studio executives forced her to take amphetamines to keep her thin and energetic through grueling film schedules. She later described how she rarely ate or slept, trapped in a relentless cycle of performance and exhaustion driven by pills. As she grew older, the damage worsened. Her dependence on drugs deepened, and her physical and mental health began to crumble under the weight of years of abuse and pressure. In 1969, Judy was found dead in her London home from an accidental overdose of barbiturates. She was just 47. Though her voice and legacy continue to inspire, Judy Garland's life stands as a chilling reminder of how Hollywood once exploited its brightest stars, sacrificing their well-being in pursuit of profit and perfection. YouTube loves videos with lots of interaction, so if you liked this video, drop a 1 in the comments. Thanks a bunch. Demi Lovato rose to fame as a Disney Channel star, dazzling audiences with her talent in both acting and music. But behind the polished image of a teen idol, Demi was quietly battling a storm of personal struggles, eating disorders, depression, and relentless bullying. While her public life seemed picture-perfect, the reality was far from it. In her teenage years, Demi turned to drugs and alcohol as a way to cope, and her addiction quickly spiraled out of control. In 2018, she suffered a near-fatal overdose after taking heroin laced with fentanyl, a deadly mix that has claimed countless lives. She survived, but not without lasting effects, including brain damage and vision issues. In her candid documentary, Demi revealed the depth of her struggles and the toll they took. Today, she uses her voice not just to sing, but to speak out, raising awareness about addiction and mental health. Her road to recovery hasn't been easy, but her honesty and resilience continue to inspire millions who are fighting battles of their own. Demi's story is not just one of survival. It's a powerful reminder that vulnerability is strength and recovery is possible. Philip Seymour Hoffman was widely regarded as one of the greatest actors of his generation. With a chameleon-like ability to disappear into roles, he delivered unforgettable performances, from his Oscar-winning portrayal in Capote to haunting turns in The Master and Doubt. He was, by all accounts, a master of his craft. But behind the brilliance was a lifelong battle with addiction. Hoffman first struggled with heroin in his youth, then managed to stay sober for 23 years. It was a hard-won peace, but in 2012 he relapsed. Despite seeking treatment and trying to reclaim his sobriety, the addiction tightened its grip. On February 2, 2014, Hoffman was found dead in his New York apartment with a syringe in his arm. He was only 46. His death sent shockwaves through the industry and served as a heartbreaking reminder that addiction doesn't discriminate, not even against the most talented and seemingly successful. Hoffman's legacy is marked not only by his extraordinary work, but also by the deep, silent struggles that so many face behind closed doors. Whitney Houston is remembered as one of the greatest voices in music history. With timeless hits like I Will Always Love You, she didn't just sing, she soared, becoming a global icon whose voice defined a generation. But behind the fame and glory, Whitney was fighting a private battle. Her struggles with drug addiction began in the 1990s, partly influenced by her tumultuous relationship with Bobby Brown, who faced similar issues. Years of cocaine use and other substances slowly took their toll on her health, her performances, and her once flawless voice. What had been a shining career began to falter, and her public appearances grew increasingly erratic. On February 11, 2012, the world was stunned when Whitney was found dead in the bathtub of a Beverly Hills hotel. The cause, accidental drowning, worsened by the effects of cocaine and other medications in her system. She was just 48. Her death was a heartbreaking loss for millions of fans and a stark reminder of the hidden cost of fame. Yet despite her struggles, Whitney Houston's legacy remains untouchable. Her voice, her impact, and her spirit continue to resonate across generations. Marilyn Monroe was the ultimate icon of Hollywood's golden age. Famed for her breathtaking beauty, magnetic charm, and screen presence that captivated the world, she became one of the most recognizable figures of the 20th century. But behind the glamorous image was a woman struggling with deep wounds. Born Norma Jean Mortensen, she endured a chaotic childhood, growing up in foster homes after her mother was committed to a psychiatric hospital. The trauma of those early years left lasting scars that shaped her adult life. In Hollywood, Marilyn fought to be taken seriously as an actress, but was constantly reduced to a symbol. Under the weight of fame, anxiety, and public scrutiny, she turned to barbiturates and alcohol to cope with the pressure and insomnia. Her dependency worsened following the breakdown of her marriages to Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller. On August 5, 1962, Marilyn was found dead in her Los Angeles home at just 36. The official cause was a barbiturate overdose, though the mysterious circumstances have fueled conspiracy theories for decades. Her tragic end remains a cautionary tale about the price of fame, the loneliness it can bring, and the fragile humanity behind even the most iconic faces. Charlie Sheen was once the king of primetime TV. With his signature charm, sharp wit, and undeniable talent, he became a household name, especially for his role in 2.5 Men, which made him one of the highest-paid actors in television history. But behind the bad boy persona was a man spiraling out of control. From an early age, Sheen embraced a reckless lifestyle fueled by cocaine, alcohol, and a string of tumultuous relationships. Despite his off-screen troubles, his talent kept him in the spotlight. That all changed in 2011. A string of erratic public appearances, bizarre interviews, and clashes with producers led to his infamous firing from 2.5 Men. Suddenly, Charlie Sheen was making headlines for all the wrong reasons. A few years later, he made a shocking revelation. He was HIV positive. The announcement forced him to confront his choices and reflect on a life lived on the edge. Though Sheen has made efforts to recover and rebuild, his reputation never fully healed. His story serves as a stark reminder that even fame, fortune, and talent can't shield someone from the harsh realities of addiction and self-destruction. YouTube pushes out videos with high engagement, so comment 1 if you liked it, and if you didn't, comment 2 so we can have a friendly debate in the replies. Amanda Bynes was once the golden girl of Nickelodeon, quick-witted, effortlessly funny, and destined for superstardom. With standout roles in She's the Man and What a Girl Wants, she charmed a generation and lit up every screen she touched. But in 2012, the headlines shifted. Suddenly, Amanda wasn't making news for her talent, but for troubling behavior that stunned fans and left Hollywood in disbelief. Behind the scenes, she was battling a growing addiction to Adderall, a drug often abused in the entertainment world for weight loss and focus. Combined with untreated mental health issues, her world began to unravel. There were disturbing tweets, a DUI arrest, and the shocking moment when she set fire to a stranger's driveway. It was clear she was in crisis. Fearing for her safety, her family stepped in and placed her under a conservatorship. Since then, Amanda has stepped out of the spotlight and into recovery. She's taken time to heal, seeking treatment and focusing on her well-being. Her journey is a powerful reminder that fame doesn't protect you from pain, and that mental health can't be ignored. Amanda Bynes' story isn't just a Hollywood cautionary tale. It's a testament to the strength it takes to face your demons and fight your way back. Jean-Claude Van Damme, better known to fans as the Muscles from Brussels, kicked his way into global stardom in the late 80s and early 90s with action classics like Bloodsport and Kickboxer. On screen, he was unstoppable, fierce, focused, and in total control. But behind the scenes, his real fight was just beginning. At the peak of his fame, Van Damme was gripped by a devastating cocaine addiction, reportedly blowing through $10,000 a week and using up to 10 grams a day. The price? A string of divorces, legal run-ins, and erratic behavior that threatened to derail his career. Tabloids had a field day, but the man himself was unraveling. In 1999, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a moment that finally shed light on years of impulsive, self-destructive choices. But instead of letting that label define him, Van Damme chose to fight back. He sought treatment, put in the work, and began the long road to recovery. Today, Jean-Claude Van Damme isn't just a martial arts legend. He's a symbol of resilience. His journey is proof that even in the face of addiction, mental illness, and public downfall, redemption is possible. And sometimes the greatest victory isn't in the ring, it's in reclaiming your life. Britney Spears, the iconic princess of pop, skyrocketed to global fame with smash hits like Baby One More Time. But behind the polished image was a young woman bearing an unbearable weight. From a childhood shaped by relentless competition and sky-high expectations to her meteoric rise in the early 2000s, Britney's life was constantly under the public microscope. Her high-profile romance with Justin Timberlake, 2 turbulent marriages, and the obsessive media coverage slowly chipped away at her mental health. In 2007, the world watched in shock as Britney suffered a very public breakdown, shaving her head and attacking a paparazzo's car with an umbrella, moments that became infamous symbols of her emotional unraveling. Soon after, she lost custody of her children and was placed under a court-ordered conservatorship, with her father gaining complete control over her finances, career, and personal choices. Despite continuing to tour and perform to sold-out crowds, her private life was tightly restricted for over a decade. This sparked the Suck Tar Free Britney movement, a passionate campaign demanding her freedom. In 2021, after a heartbreaking courtroom testimony detailing the abuse she suffered under the conservatorship, Britney was finally granted her freedom. More than just a pop star, Britney Spears is a survivor. Her journey through the darkest corners of fame is a powerful reminder that even the brightest icons need protection, compassion, and the right to live life on their own terms. Johnny Depp, one of Hollywood's most versatile and beloved actors, hasn't just played troubled characters on screen, he's lived through his own battles off-screen. Throughout his highly publicized and turbulent relationship with Amber Heard, the world was given a raw look into Depp's struggles with addiction, emotional turmoil, and substance abuse. Depp has openly admitted that his use of alcohol and drugs began in his youth, a way to escape the chaos of a difficult family life. But what once served as a coping mechanism eventually became a destructive force in his life. During the intense legal battles with Heard, disturbing details surfaced, highlighting toxic behavior on both sides and painting a picture of a man haunted by inner demons. Despite the scandals and relentless media scrutiny, Depp's loyal fan base has stood by him. He remains a significant figure in the film industry, known not just for his acting talent, but for his complex humanity. His story is a sobering reminder that even the biggest stars can be caught in the grip of addiction and emotional pain. These aren't just Hollywood headlines. They're cautionary tales about the cost of fame, the weight of personal trauma, and the fight to reclaim one's life. Robert Downey Jr. is widely known not only for his acting talent, but also for his incredible journey of redemption. Born in 1965 in New York City, he was introduced to drugs at a very young age by his father. This early exposure led to years of substance abuse. Throughout the 1990s, Downey delivered strong performances in film, but his addiction to cocaine, heroin, and alcohol often overshadowed his success. He was arrested multiple times and even spent time in jail, with many believing his promising career had come to an end. However, in the early 2000s, Downey began turning his life around. With the help of therapy, meditation, martial arts, and strong support from friends and family, he committed to sobriety. Though it took time to rebuild trust in the film industry, his determination and discipline gradually opened new doors. He took on smaller roles at first, proving his reliability and professionalism, and step by step he re-established himself in Hollywood. His major comeback came in 2008 with the role of Tony Stark in Iron Man. The film's success made him a global superstar and marked the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Downey's transformation from addiction to triumph has inspired millions. Today, he is not only celebrated for his roles, but also admired for his strength, honesty, and the message that recovery and second chances are possible. Tell me you weren't expecting her name. Marilyn Monroe wasn't just a star. She was Hollywood's ultimate icon, a symbol of glamour, beauty, and mystery. But behind the dazzling smile and the unforgettable performances, Monroe battled demons that fame couldn't silence. As her career skyrocketed, her mental health declined. She struggled with depression, substance abuse, and possibly bipolar disorder. Forgetting lines, sinking into paranoia and despair, she relied on alcohol and prescription drugs to cope with the relentless pressure of maintaining her public image. The weight of Hollywood's expectations, personal heartbreaks, and inner turmoil pushed her further into isolation. On August 5, 1962, the world lost its brightest star. Monroe was found dead in her Brentwood home, her passing ruled as acute barbiturate poisoning. The tragic overdose shocked the world, ending a life that was as painful as it was iconic. Years later, her personal writings revealed the depths of her loneliness, with one line capturing it all: "It's a terrible thing to be lonesome, especially in the middle of a crowd." Even today, Marilyn Monroe remains an enigma, a legend, and a heartbreaking reminder that even the most adored figures can feel unbearably alone. Elvis Presley, the undisputed king of rock and roll, was a force of nature, electrifying audiences with his swagger voice and signature hip-shaking moves. But by the time of his tragic death at 42, he had become a shadow of his former self, weighed down by fame, pressure, and a dangerous reliance on prescription drugs. On August 16, 1977, the world was stunned when Elvis was found unresponsive in the bathroom of Graceland. The toxicology report painted a grim picture, a lethal cocktail of painkillers and sedatives, including Dilaudid, Percodan, Demerol, codeine, and Quaaludes. The man who once stood against drug abuse had unknowingly fallen victim to it himself. At the center of his addiction, was Dr. Dr. Nick Nicopolis, Elvis's personal physician. Originally treating him for chronic pain, Dr. Nick later admitted to prescribing thousands of pills, sometimes attempting to replace real drugs with placebos. But in the end, Elvis's demands always won. The tragic irony? Elvis once received an honorary badge from President Nixon for his anti-drug stance, only to be consumed by the very substances he once condemned. His death remains one of Hollywood's greatest cautionary tales, proof that even the biggest legends are not invincible.